Hi there, my name is Sky and I'd love to be your new favorite art teacher. This week, join me to paint a wintry snowflake scene. I'll take you through it every step of the way. Thanks for being here. Let's jump in. Hello again, beautiful artists, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Sky. I post beginning level acrylic painting tutorials just like this every second and fourth Saturdays of the month. So if you're new here, please hit subscribe so you can join the fun and paint along. Today I'm going to take us through a beautiful snowflake inspired snowstorm painting. We're going to get a little bit abstract. We're going to have a lot of fun today. I'm going to use my 3 standard brushes that I use in most of my classes. You'll generally see me use brushes that are about this same size and shape. Your brushes don't need to be the exact same sizes, but they should be the same general size and shape and made for a water media. So I use a 3/4 inch wash brush in this brand that's a size 16. And then 2 smaller pointed brushes, a size 8 and a size 4. Again, you'll see me use slightly different sizes sometimes. Ultimately, it's whatever you're comfortable with. The colors that I have to start out with for today's background step, we're gonna have fun just with cool colors today. So I have some black and white, and then my cool colors of some cobalt blue, a little bit of violet, AKA purple, and just a pinch of my gorgeous phthalo green. To see a full materials list of everything that you need to paint along, check the description box below. It'll show you the colors for today's tutorial, but it will also have a link to my materials page on my website, which is skypratt.com, SKYEPRATT.com. You can click on the materials page and it'll break it down for you, everything that you need to paint along. Okay, let's jump in with our background step. I'm going to start with my large brush, and we're going to do this painting essentially in 3 layers today. So we'll have our background layer, then we'll have a secondary layer of circles, and then we'll have our final layer of course, our snowflakes. So we're going to start with the sort of abstract background. I'm going to take some blue to start and a scoop of white and just a pinch of black. I'm going to mix up a beautiful sort of steely blue. And I'm going to have a little bit of water on my brush and just start going both up and down and back and forward and back and forth. And I don't want to fill my whole canvas then with this color. I just want to get some of that steely blue on the canvas to start to work with. Okay, and then I'll take a little bit more white. I'm going to come in with a lighter version, essentially of that same color, and fill in a few brush strokes. Notice how I'm getting pretty sloppy. We're going quickly. We're getting abstract on purpose. Okay, and I'm sort of building like a cross hatching. Okay, so you can see I have a little bit of variation in my blue tones. You can kind of come back and add to it once you're initially filled in. And I have some areas that are dark and some areas that are light. And then I'm going to add a little bit of an accent color too. And I kind of want to darken the outside edges also. And that will create sort of like a bit of a frame. It's really all about these different layers today. It has a nice overall effect, I think. Okay, so a little bit of darkness, and then we'll come in with our accent colors. I think I'll rinse my brush to come in with my accent colors. I don't want too much blue. but things are gonna blend a little bit. That's all right. So let's take a little bit of my white here, I'm going to, and mix it with my phthalo green. So I have this gorgeous sort of spearmint accent color, and just gonna kind of brighten things up with a few streaks of that gorgeous green color. And then I'm going to do the same thing with purple. I'm going to rinse my brush in between two. This is not an exact science. Just have fun and create a beautiful abstract background with these colors. You can't really go wrong because they're all on the same side of the color wheel. So you're not gonna get anything too unpleasant. You'll probably just get sort of like a grayish blue if you just keep blending. So don't be afraid to have some fun and get in there with some accent colors too, and work your composition until you feel good about it, but don't overwork it. Once you feel like it's looking pretty good, call it good. That looks pretty good. Put your brush down and step away, and we're going to let this layer fully dry. We will come back and add our circle layer. I'll probably just stick it with the same colors on my piece of palette paper, so hang on to that, and I'll see everyone in a couple minutes. Okay, welcome back, artists. We have a dry background layer, and we're going to do the second part of our background. Now, layer one complete, and layer two, let's jump in. We're going to use the same brush, same big brush, and pretty much the same colors too. And we are now going to have fun with circles. And this is a really fun and easy way to create them. And I'm going to start similarly to how I started with this background. I like to start with darker colors, kind of laying the foundation, and then we'll come in with the highlights. And all you need to do is place your brush down on the canvas and then twist your fingers and gently release, and you'll get a very nice actual circle that you didn't have to freehand. And the brush shapes it for you. And sometimes you can even bring in a second hand to help you stabilize. I'm also going to do some that come off the edge. And we want to do this sort of randomly, like a strategic random, and we want some to be bigger than others. So I'm just going to sort of push it out an extra layer to make a few bigger circles too. Just a little bit of variation. Okay, I don't want to add too much of that dark color, so I'm going to go one shade lighter now, and I'm going to go a little bit more vibrant too. So I started with my same kind of steely blue that I did a little bit of framing with, but now I'm going to come in with like a medium blue, and it is similar to some of the colors in our background, and that's okay, because even just like the different type of brush stroke kind of helps to blend everything with the eye. This is a fun technique that we've not done for a while. Let me know in the comment section if you enjoy making circles this way. You might get to the point where you start to overlap some of your circles, and that's fine and good. And you also might want to kind of jump back and add another one of a different color, and that is also okay. And we're gonna think about a little bit our composition, where we're going to put our sort of focal point snowflakes. So I'm gonna have mine sort of lower left. I'm just thinking about that too, and not necessarily leaving an empty space, but just being mindful of not getting too cluttered over here, and then I'm just gonna cover it in a minute. And I don't want to cover my accent colors completely either. I want to add a really light blue next. So this is almost white. And I do kind of want to start to overlap a bit. Remember to vary your sizes a bit. And to overlap the edge too. That's always a nice kind of compositional trick. Nice, and I'm going to do a couple small ones. Nice, and I think I'll go ahead and do one in this empty space. And maybe one overlapping down here. Cute. Okay, a few more accents. Going to do just a couple very light purple. It's okay if they blend together a little bit. Just a few, because it's an accent color. A very fun background and unique. It's a little too dark still. So I'm coming in with my gorgeous phthalo green for a couple. The same accent colors we used in the background, I'm using in this layer too. It can be hard to decide where to place things. I think that looks pretty good though. Maybe just like one small one over here to balance things. Okay. All right, and similarly, again, to our first step, once you feel like things are looking pretty good, call it good and step away. We're gonna let it dry completely. And this time I'm going to switch out my palette paper too. So we're done with this one. You can put any other little final touches that you'd like on your background step, but let's let this layer dry and we'll come back for the piece de la resistance or piece de resistance. I don't speak French. I don't know why I always attempt that phrase. Remember it from high school friends, but of course, the focal point of today's painting, which is our beautiful snowflakes. So let's step away, let this layer dry, and we'll come back and add those. All right, I'll see everyone in a few. Okay, welcome back, artists. It's our final layer. I just have some white, a little bit of black, and a tiny bit of blue, again on a new fresh piece of palette paper. I rinsed my brushes and got some fresh water at break. I also, on hand, have a tiny ruler. I think this could be helpful for creating straight lines. That being said, on my first attempt, I just winged it. And you can do that too if you'd like. So, it's all hand painted, so it's just gonna give it a little bit more of a rustic look, and I think that's okay. But I'm going to use my little baby ruler. I'm not going to necessarily measure things with it though. I'm just going to use it as a straight edge. Your ruler can be full size, doesn't have to be see-through. Just a straight edge is what we're going for. And I'm going to grab my smallest baby brush for these next couple steps. They are pretty important. We're going to be laying down our main shapes. So my first one is going to be sort of my biggest focal point one. And that's going to be, like I mentioned, sort of this bottom left hand side. And then over here, I'm going to do another one. So I'm kind of like thinking about my composition already. I guess sort of 3 larger ones. And then some fun little snowflakes, sort of snow clumps, not snowballs. I'm going to just use my ruler to get a straight line down to get started. And then rather than doing 4, so that would be like a quadrant, we're gonna do 6ths. Excuse me, it's a little tricky to say. And I'm going to eyeball that part. Like I said, I'm not going to necessarily measure things. I'm just going to use it as a straight edge. And I want to end at about the same distance from the center. And that's going to make a big difference once we start filling in all the sort of in-between lines. Just eyeballing it. You could, of course, measure. I don't know, I'm anti-math. That feels like almost math adjacent. Okay, and now the fun part. Let's go from the center. I'll just do a dot in the center first to orient myself. And I'm going to do these little triangles all around the center. So the triangle comes up into your little pizza section and then comes down to connect again, up and down, and you get a sort of little flower shape, so pretty. And we're just going to follow that round and round a few layers out, sort of like a mandala. A very meditative painting today. That's why I think mandalas are so beautiful, because they mimic this beautiful sacred geometry found in nature. And snowflakes are a great example of that. So amazing how they're all unique. Very cool. Okay, I'm gonna do a few layers. I'll do one more. My last layer, I'm going to come out a little bit more pointed, sort of exaggerate that flower shape, star shape. A little bit steeper of a pitch on the triangle. And then I'm going to do a little sort of oval, almost like a little leaf shape at the edges. Again, sort of adjusting things if needed, because you want them to all end at around the same distance outwards. You might want to hit the first lines with a second coat of white at some point. Mine's dry enough to do that now. And then just a few little brush strokes on either side of your oval leaf shape, and then coming down one more layer. So again, sort of just repeating patterns. And that was like the hardest one, so give yourself a pat on the back if you were able to build this, or if it's almost built and it's looking pretty good. And once you learn these snowflake types, you can add them to all kinds of paintings. Or you can even paint it in your window. Okay, that looks really cute. Let's add our next snowflake. This one's going to be sort of unique. This is like a classic shape, but I found this shape too when I was looking at the sort of classic options. And I thought this was cool too. So it starts as like a plus sign. Okay, I use my ruler to Get nice straight lines to start off. And then just with a little tiny bit of paint, I'm going to do a diamond shape. So a little triangle, another triangle, little diamonds, topping the ends. Very simple. Okay, and then we'll just work our way from the top down. I should probably get 3 layers on each one, and make sure you've got your diagonal correct. Follow your diamond shape up at the top. Don't confuse yourself. I say as I confuse myself. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I think they look better a little longer than they do stubbier. So I'm going to go back and lengthen a few. Okay, but that looks pretty cute too. Okay, and then I think I'll do one more. And this one's gonna be pretty tiny, so I'm just going to freehand it. I'm going to start with a plus sign, and then I'm going to go in between. And I'm just gonna do a really simple one with some of those sort of little branch brush strokes. And maybe we'll do straight across brush strokes. You really can get creative now and do any kind of snowflakes that you like. And then I also want to add a few just sparkles. And the way that I do that is also starting with something like a plus sign. I'm going to taper it off at the top and bottom so that it comes to a nice point. And then you can kind of come in and add a little bit of roundness to the middle. And I think that's a really nice way to get a cute little sparkle too. Let's do one more sparkle. Little hills in each area. Okay, very cute. And then I think I'll do a few, we'll call them snow circles. Look at all those beautiful layers and the effect that it has. And then I'll do really small, last little white circles with the back of my brush. It's a really nice way to get really tiny circles and have kind of a little bit of fun texture. Okay, and then if you'd like, you can have just a touch of kind of like a shadow color. Just taking a tiny pinch of my black and blue. And if you'd like, you can do a few quick, tiny little swipes in some of your snowflakes, just to add another layer, kind of some interest, a little bit of frostiness. You can also just leave it solid white, whatever you like. Just kind of touching a little bit of blue in each section, just for added frostiness. Maybe a little bit in this one too. I'm really just barely touching my brush down just a little accent of frost. This guy too. Very pretty. Okay, this was a really simple, but I think it turned out really fun tutorial today. So I hope you enjoyed painting along with me. If you did, I would love to see your work. And I have a Facebook group called the Art Club that you can join for free. There's a link in the description box below to join us over there. You can share your work with me and with the other students that are taking the classes. It's the best part of my day to see everyone getting creative. So thanks again for watching this week. Have a very happy and cozy winter. It's one of my favorite times of the year. I know I'm crazy about that though. not a warm weather person. I love a good snowstorm. So bundle up, stay warm, and until next time, stay creative.